Hello, good morning, good Monday morning, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, channel that brings you your team every single day. It's Monday morning, and Monday mornings are usually one of the most depressing mornings of the week, and it could have quite easily been one of the worst mornings of the week, given the weekend that has just been, and the result on Saturday, the appalling performance, another absolute drudge of a performance. But the club, kind of in their infinite wisdom, decided, no, you know what, we're going to cheer you up a little bit. We're going to give you something to make you happy going into your working week. It's going to take a fucking lot, guys, I'll tell you, to get me to feel happy this week. But yes, Philippe Clement has officially been sacked. We can now say it is official. Obviously, there was all that kind of, it's been done, it has been done, it's happened, he has been sacked, kind of reporting coming out of Heart and Hand and coming out of Rangers Review and coming out of ITV News and Sky News and Sky Sports News and all those other organisations. Actually, I don't think it made Sky News. I think it was quite that important. I think it's up there with the Israeli war and the Ukraine-Russia war and Philippe Clement getting sacked. I don't think it was quite up there. I don't think it'll be debated on the floor of the United Nations, and I don't think Donald Trump will be making any statement anytime soon on it. But obviously, it is official now. He has been sacked, and we know it's official because the club finally put it out. Put it out at, it was very, very late again on a Sunday. They seem to like doing things on a Sunday, don't they? Get church out of the way in the morning and then get the sackings done. Obviously, I think it was the Michael Beale one was released about 25 to 9 on a Sunday night. Well, they've gone one better this time, obviously, and put it out I think it was about 20 past 9 last night. It finally came out. Rangers Twitter, which was refreshed again by multiple supporters, which got us to read the Nico Raskin birthday tweet over and over again. Happy birthday for yesterday, Nico, by the way. But this was what Rangers said last night in their message. They said Rangers Football Club can confirm it has tonight parted company with men's first team manager Philippe Clement, just to clarify that he was kind of managing the men's first team. I like it how they put men's first team, just to clarify that he wasn't in fact managing the women's team or any other team. I think we all kind of knew that. The club would like to put on record their sincere thanks to Philippe for his hard work and dedication during his spell in charge. A further update from the club will follow in due course. Now, of course, the further update we want to know is who is now in charge of the club. We have a game on Wednesday night, I believe it is, against Killy. So what is happening? What is occurring, Rangers? We all want to know who takes over on an interim basis. I think it will be on an interim basis because given the fact there is a takeover in the process of going, I cannot see the board going and appointing anybody on a permanent basis. I think that will be a decision that will be left to the new owners, to the Niners Enterprises, to make that decision. And look, I trust them far more than I would ever trust this current board of directors at Rangers to make a decision on a new manager. Let's face it, this is an organisation that appointed Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches in the NFL, to the position of 49ers manager, head coach. Realistic, that's what it's called in America, guys. So look, that's a decision for another day. So I think look, we're all looking at this and saying, well, look, it's likely to be an interim to the end of the season. It's likely to be someone just to look after the team. Now, I heard a really interesting conversation, and we'll kind of talk about candidates for that in a moment. Now, I heard a very interesting conversation on one of the podcasts. I think it was Heart and Hand I was listening to. And then, gosh, I love Heart and Hand. Somebody the other day accused me of rehashing the Rabble content, but I don't actually watch Rabble. I don't actually watch Rangers Rabble. I like what I've seen from them. I just don't have time. I just genuinely don't have time to sit and watch a lot of podcasts. It's just something I haven't got a lot of time for when you're working a ridiculous amount of hours per week and trying to put together content and trying to be a free Uber for your daughters and walking a black Labrador. So look, there's a lot going on. So look, I was listening to Heart and Hand last night whilst I was working on some editing and some slides, and one of the comments was made was, what if the new interim manager wins the Europa League? David Edgar said he'll deserve a bloody great statue outside of Ibrox, and I think that's pretty much right. But look, I think realistically, you're looking at the Europa League and looking at the teams in the Europa League that we've got Fenerbahce, a game that we probably won't win given Jose Mourinho European master. If we get through that, It's Roma or Bilbao, who for me are two of the favourites for this competition. Bilbao in particular, who've got some of the best young players in Spanish football. So, realistically, whoever the interim manager is, he's not going to win the Europa League. And given the fact there's no domestic trophies to play for now, thanks to Philippe Clement's abject failure in the league, 13 points behind, getting us knocked out of the Scottish Cup by Queen's Park, which probably ultimately cost him his job. And, the fact that whoever it is going to be, it's just here for the short term, and that's the right decision to make. Get someone to get us through to the end of the season, to just survive these next 11 league games and however many Europa League games are left, and then kind of in the summer the new owners sit down, go through a proper evaluation process, go through a proper recruitment process, which I honestly believe that they kind of already will have started to some degree, looking at possible candidates, and people have listed off all sorts of candidates. Now, I mean, look, I want to deal with a couple of things. I was watching one thing video I did watch last night was CJ Nova. I love CJ Nova, he's brilliant. And he said, what's embarrassing and doubly embarrassing for Rangers is that 5 days ago we doubled down on our double down that he was never going to be sacked, that he was here for the long term because of Europe, and then we had to sack him. I think that's made Patrick Stewart look very, very stupid, if I'm being honest with you. Penny for his thoughts last night when the announcement was made. But in terms of those candidates, interim manager to the end of the year, who takes over? Who is it? Look, it's not going to be Alex Ray because the guy can put cones out. That's about all he can do, and sit and chew gum. I don't really know what else he did. He didn't even get up and shout. He didn't really do anything. So rule him out. Some people have mentioned Kevin Thompson, who's gone back to work at the club. As a possibility. To do that. I realistically look at that situation. Look, I don't know what's going to happen as regards who's going to be that interim manager. Whether it's going to be someone like, let's say, for instance, a Kevin Thompson, or do we go outside, go for a Barry Ferguson to the end of the season? That would be an interesting one. Steve Davis, is it a possibility to bring him back? But does he have his coaching badges? That's another one. Or does the Moroccan, who was the assistant manager, does he stay in position, given the fact that he was a later appointment? I mean, I think Van der Heyden will certainly leave with Clement, and he will be gone with Clement. Does Isak Chairi, I think that's the guy's name, does he take over on interim basis, perhaps assisted by Kevin Thompson, and some of the other like Gilmore and Stewart and so on and so forth? Is that the situation? Look, I don't know. I honestly don't know what the situation will be. Now, realistically, we're waiting for the club to tell us who's going to take over on an interim basis. Whoever it is, I think, has just got an interesting job to do, haven't they? They can really come in with a free hit and express themselves, take decisions that they want them to take, and just kind of piss anyone off they want to piss off. Really, I think for me, you've got to hope that, say, Steve Davis, that the others there, you're going to, perhaps if they do come in, if it was a Steve Davis, if it was a Kevin Thompson or whoever, that they come in and take a few brave decisions, that they perhaps look at some of the kids through to the end of the season, they look at it as an evaluative process, that they can feed back to the new manager, whoever they're going to be. Look, we played Bailey, we played Finlay, we played Paul and Sio. This is how they played. They're good options for you. Could save you some money in the long run. Go with them, give them a chance, give them a chance to play. Could that be an option? I don't know, guys. I don't know. So it's interesting, isn't it? Now, obviously, it's a situation where we look at it in terms of who takes over. And look, I don't think we can predict what the new owners will do in terms of that, who they can attract, who they can't attract, what money they're going to put into the process. That kind of begs the question, the candidate list that seems to get trotted out every time there is a kind of Rangers managerial vacancy comes up, Kjetil Knutsen, Frank Lampard, so on and so forth. Do these people look interested? I think in the past Rangers have always looked for managers who are out of work, so we don't have to pay compensation. Now, given the fact that the 49ers enterprises will have more money, do we now start to look at managers who are in work and we have the ability to pay that compensation fee for those for that new manager. So does that completely change the list of possible candidates? For me, maybe it does. I think, look, the candidates I've seen listed so far, I mean, obviously it's Muscat, Knutson, Lampard, who is in a job. He is the manager of Coventry City, quite whether he'd want to move from the English Championship, where he's doing quite well actually, to the Scottish Premier League. I don't know, after already being turned down for the job once. Sean Dyche, please God, no. If you think Mourinho's football's bad and you think Clement's football's bad, you ain't seen nothing yet compared to negative Dyche. His guy is just awful. Please God, not him. I mean, that was a name that was mentioned. Russell Martin is the total football option. Obviously, a very good coach. Did well with Southampton to get them into the Premier League. But was sacked by Southampton for failing in the Premier League. So, do you want someone who's a failure? I don't know. It is an interesting one. Now, it's certainly something on this channel we're going to look at. We'll look into candidates. We'll look at who comes up, who's a possibility, who's out there with a bit more depth. I've had a chance to do a bit more research. I've got to admit, I haven't done any because I honestly didn't expect him to get sacked, to be honest with you. I honestly expected him to stay in a job until next season, at very least, given Patrick Stewart's comments. I even thought that, after yesterday, he would still survive and he'd still limp along to the end of the season. And once the new owners came in, they would be the ones to take the decisive action. But look, we are where we are. He's gone. Thought now talks. Who's the interim? Who takes over long term? I think the process will very much be an interim to the end of the season. The new owners come in. They look at their own man. They bring him in. I think they can do that because Coppen will be the man doing the recruitment over the summer. It doesn't really matter who the new manager is. He will have to fit in with the players that are bought and the players of the system. That's the way the system now works. It's going to be a very fascinating time at Rangers, and obviously we will do our best to keep all over those headlines, all over those stories with you here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. And guys, the best way to make sure you never miss out on all this free content is to smash the sub. That's all you got to do. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, please remember, we are the people.